Hey guys, this is Dr. Jimenez and welcome to part two of APA Fundamentals. The last slide that we were talking about, just to quickly recap, we were just talking about citations and we were talking about the different kinds of citations, from how do you cite a single author, two authors, 3 to 5 or more. There are various different variations. And again, I strongly encourage you to take a look at your APA book, APA guidebook, I believe it's the 6th edition at this point, the blue book, and you can look at that for additional guidance, or of course, apa.org, or even the Purdue OWL as excellent resources that you can use when it comes to understanding APA. So make sure that you are utilizing those resources. Now, one thing that I did find that was a challenge for some folks is the cover page. Now, the cover page really has a total of 5 major elements. The first part, which is a simple part, is the title of your document, your name, and your university. Excuse me. In this case, your university would be NJCU, New Jersey City University. At bare minimum, you should have the title of your document, your name, and again, your institution. But the other two pieces that are part of the cover page tend to be problematic, especially if you're not familiar with APA. One of those is the page number, because if you notice in APA, the page number goes to the top right part of the screen. The other thing that you have here is the words running head and the title of your document. Now, this is a very interesting section because typically, if you're going to launch a Microsoft Word document or a Google Doc, whichever type you're using, normally your running head goes up here in your header section. You usually double click on it and it'll open up for you. So to show you this feature, of the running head in a much more clear, concise way, when you look at the Word document, again, it's in the header section. You have the words running head with the title of your document along with the page number. And what that really means, if you're in a document like in Microsoft Word, easiest thing to do before you even do any typing, before you do anything else, if you happen to be in Microsoft Word, the easiest thing to do in this case is you want to insert a header or a footer. Part of the reason why you want to do this is so that you can make your edits and format the header and footer accordingly. Now, some students may say, well, can't I just go to the view because I want to view the header and footer? No. In Microsoft Word, you have to insert the header footer. So I'm just going to go to header, open it up. Now you could have also just double clicked on the screen right here and it would have done the same exact thing. You could do this, go to edit the header, right? Or you could just double click on it. And again, the way it works is that before you do any typing of any kind, you need to go into the header and footer tools. And again, the way I did it was go to insert, go to header, edit header. And the very first thing I'm going to do is I get this header and footer tools design tab, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on different first page, because what that will allow me to do is to set up my cover page to appear one way and page 2 to appear a different way. So here's what I mean by that. By adding different first page, whatever I do to my first page, so I'm going to type in the words running head, story of APA, let's say is my title. So in APA, I should note that after you write the word on the first page, running head, your title is in caps and should be in less than 50 characters total. So the story of APA, right? And then I'm going to go towards the end of the page by pressing tab twice, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a page number. I can go to page number, current position, which is the current position where I have my cursor right now, which is over here, and just click on add number. Now, when I come over here, I'm going to add my title. Usually press enter 5 times. You center it. The story of APA. Roberto Jimenez. New Jersey City University. The other thing you should know, and here, is that with APA, you should only use 2 types of font. You could use Times New Roman, or you can use Arial. For our purposes, I'll go to Times New Roman, and you should do the same thing here with your header and footer. It should also be Times New Roman as well. The font size is usually 10 to 12 points, but for our purposes, so I have my first page, I have my header, and I'm just going to go down to the second page. So enter here. So when I go to my second page, notice I don't have a header or a footer up here. This is important because if I go now to the header and footer by double clicking on the top of the screen, I may have to click on it more than once. Remember that I had asked you to type in different first page. That's why you don't have the same header that says running head, the story of APA with a page 1. What you do instead is you now come here, and as of page 2, you leave out the words running head, but you still include the story of APA. And again, the gist of this, folks, is that on page 1, you have to include the words running head with the title and the page number, and on page 2, you exclude the words running head, the story of APA, tab it again, go to page number, current position, and just click on the plain number, and there you are. So now when I do this, you see here story of APA, page 2, running head, story of APA 1. The point of doing that is to show you how easy it is to be able to manipulate, in this case, your Word documents. So with that, I'm going to come back here for a moment. Let's go back here to our slideshow. Might just take a moment or two. There we go. And of course, it took me all the way back. Great. Okay, so that's your cover page. Again, a couple things to note. The title page includes the running head, and the running head, as I just said before, is basically your title. It's the same thing. It's whatever the title of your document is. The difference is that in the running head, it cannot exceed more than 50 characters, including spaces and punctuation, which means that you may need to abbreviate your title. And that's okay, as long as you keep it under 50 characters in your running head. And again, your running head is flush to the left, includes the words running head, and as of page 2 and on, you do not include any running head. Again, I'm happy to explain this further in detail to anyone that's interested, but please reach out to me if you have any questions. The final thing that I want to talk about is your reference page. Now, I'm not going to get into all the different types of reference pages because we could spend hours on this, but what I will say is this. Notice that in the reference page, we don't have a bibliography. It's just a reference page, so you put the word references. And then you'll notice something different. You'll notice that in all of your citations, first of all, notice your citations are double-spaced. That's the first thing you should notice. This, because everything in APA, by the way, is double-spaced. So if when we say APA format, I mean that everything is double-spaced, including your references. But that's another conversation for another time. What's important, though, is that you'll notice that the first line of each of these, I'm just going to bring up my little marker here. Notice the first line here, 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 and here of each reference, they're all flush to the left. They're all perfectly aligned to the left. And they just continue going from left to right until you get to the second part of it. And in some cases, the second and third part of it. So after the first line, you will see that there's an indent, a 5-space indent or a tab to the right, where then the rest of the reference continues. This is called a hanging indent. And the easiest way to do this, if you're in Microsoft Word, is as follows. Okay, so when it comes to your references, again, you can go back into your Word document. Let's say you went into the Academic Search Premier library, you found a great reference, and you copied the reference. Or you saw a reference that was from a book and you decided to write it out. Or you used a citation generator from the web. Either way, you get your citation and you come to your reference page and now you put it in here. If you just pasted it, now this just happens to be from an example from the Purdue OWL, but if you look at it in its current form, although it has the author, the year, the title, in this case, the name of the journal, the volume, and on page number, and so forth, just because you have all that information there doesn't mean that it's in the right format. Remember, with a citation, you have to use what's called a hanging indent. Now, there's two ways you could do this in Microsoft Word. The way I'm going to show you is a way that you could also apply it in Google Docs as well. If you highlight your reference and you use these two arrows, these two little, I guess, diamonds, they're cursors, they're indents, not this little square because it moves the entire thing, which is not what we want. But if you click on the bottom triangle and you move it over 5 inches and you press enter, the next time you do this, you can now set this up so that you have the proper hanging indent, which again is it's 5 spaces in. And this is what you have to do for all your references. Now the other thing that you could do, I'm just going to undo this for a moment, is if you right click on this, go to paragraph, and one of the things that you can do, I believe it's under indentation, you can select hanging, and by choosing under indentation special hanging by 0.5 and click OK, what it will do is it will now set that 5 space for you. Now the only downside here, because I flushed it over. Okay, this is kind of weird. This has never happened to me before, but in this case it shifted the entire thing over. But basically what it'll do the same exact thing as you see here with this 5-point indent. You could either do it through paragraph by clicking on the little launcher button and choosing the appropriate indent. So your left and right are set to 0. You choose hanging indent and 5, and that'll do it for you. Or you can just select your references and make sure that you move the bottom triangle over to the right. Either way, it does the same exact thing. Also, one little bit. Some of you, I could tell, copy and pasted your references from other sources just because it comes from a journal database or a peer review database, such as ProQuest, or even from a citation generator. It doesn't always mean that it's in the right format. Make sure you go back into APA, review the proper references, and that you are including all the appropriate information. So with that, that brings us to the end of our presentation. More importantly, it brings us to the end of this video. I just wanted to pretty much say, if you have any